Hey, on this episode of Fix or Repair It Daily, basically, my Ford, I already took the passenger side apart. I'm going to record the driver's side. I'm taking it all apart, and I'm going to show you basically how to take it apart and put new rotors, calipers, and bleed the system, and pads, obviously. These were actually seized up, and they're only 2 years old, but they destroyed the rotor, and I ended up having to drive home with it, and it actually smoked the brake pads. As you can see, there's no padding left on this one at all, and it wasted another rotor. The rotors are not that old. The calipers I replaced less than 2 years ago. So I do not have emergency brakes on the truck. That's the next thing I am going to be doing, but right now I got to do the pedal brakes. That's priority. And then next week I'm going to be redoing the whole emergency brake system. So for this video, we're just doing the hydraulic caliper brakes, the regular rear brakes on it. So let's go take the driver's side apart, and I'll show you how easy they come apart. So the most important thing is make sure your vehicle is up and safe. I have it on heavy duty jack stands. We need 2 sockets. Once your tire's off, like, you're only going to need 2 different sockets. It's a 14 millimeter and 18 millimeter. So, like I said, I don't have the dust shields on. I don't have my emergency brake system attached because I'm replacing all the cables on that, and they were all rusty. So that's gonna be on the next project. But right now I just gotta get the truck ready for the road. So righty tighty, lefty loosey. Gonna break the bolts loose on the caliper first. Top and bottom right there. I have a bucket with this. That's not cat litter, that's actually the Speedy Dry for oils. So I'm gonna take this bolt off here. This is a not a carriage bolt, a banjo bolt in the brakes, and for some reason my 14's not fitting it. There it goes. And gotta get my socket back off. Like that. Gonna take a little bar, and I'm going to try and get as much fluid out of here as possible. I just don't want it dripping all over the driveway all night long. Where are my gloves? Let me grab my gloves. My little magnetic tray from Harbor Freight. Put it up there so I don't lose any of the bolts. And then what I'm going to do to get this little out of the way, I'm just going to take a zip tie, just stick it through it, and I'm just going to wedge it in my leaf spring. Like that. Maybe not that one. The other side wedged nicely. There it is. There. Just to get it out of the way for now. Now I can do those. Let me see if I can get more fluid out of this. That's pretty much it. Oop. Still want it to drain in the bucket though. There. Take this bolt off. I have a tote, an empty tote. Stick everything in once I get it off. And this one wasn't even working. All right, that's all that. Stick that in there. All right, now we're going to switch to 18 millimeter. And now I can take the rotor off. And there's the rotor. And if you look in here, my dust shield is wasted. But in order to put a new dust shield on, I do believe I got to remove the whole axle and the whole hub. So I'm not going to do that today. Like I said, right now it's just a matter of getting my brakes to work for the truck. So 2 sockets and a lower pry bar. That's all I needed. So I'm actually going to leave them underneath here. And then I'm going to, that way they're there tomorrow, and we'll put it all back together tomorrow. We'll bleed the system. So here's what it looks. This is where the parking brake is. It's inside the rotor. So the regular brakes are rotor, but the parking brake is still a drum brake. So I'm going to be getting all new hardware and putting new dust shields on. I already did some of the steel cables, but I'm going to do the steel cable up in the cab. So that's a whole nother project. So right now, let's worry about the regular driving brakes. All right, let's get the brakes going. So let's get the new rotor. Let me go get some brake cleaner. Just clean this backside surface off from the machine oil. So I got both new rotors and calipers mounted, new banjo bolts, new copper washers on the banjo bolts. I am now going to vacuum bleed the brakes. I'm going to use my air compressor, which is a gas powered air compressor, so you probably won't hear me. So I will, I actually have another video on how to use it, but I'll show you again on this one. So this is my brake fill right there. I already took the cap off. I'm going to fill it up. I use .3. Most important thing when bleeding brakes is do not run your reservoir dry. I left my reservoir dry, so I'm gonna bleed all 4 brakes. So I'm gonna fill this up and then I'll start bleeding it. On this side you might be able to hear it a little bit better, maybe not. But what I do, I'm gonna have to do this holding the phone here. Where's caliper? There it is. All right, what I do is I put the bleeder on first. I create a little bit of vacuum by turning it on. That's the noisy part. It's a Centuri valve, I think it's called. But I create a little bit of vacuum, and then I break the bleeder open, and then I open up the vacuum even more. And now you can see the fluid coming out. It's a mixture of fluid and air. The air that it's getting after a while is just getting sucked in through the threads on this. So you don't want to go too loose with it. But if you follow the hose, you can actually see it right there. So, the best way to bleed brakes I found, especially by yourself. So, close it, snug it, let it build vacuum, take it off, shut the valve off here. And then you go up front and you check your brake fluid. And there's a brake fluid and it's down low, so I gotta fill it, but I gotta put the phone down to fill it. So let me fill it and then I'll keep doing it. Okay, so I actually went through about a half gallon of brake fluid, bleeding them all, and intermittently with all calipers closed and the brake cover on the reservoir closed, I'd go in there and I'd pump the brakes. And then I'd come back out, bleed them all again, go back in, always checking out the brake fluid level, pumping it again, draining them again. And it's the best way to bleed them for a one-man show. It really does do a good job. You just got to make sure you don't run out of brake fluid. I actually went through a half gallon. I bought a gallon of brake fluid and I actually went through a whole half gallon of it right there doing it. So, but it's good to keep your brake fluid clean anyways. When it gets all brown and nasty, it's like burnt. So super easy. So I'm gonna put the tires back on and take it for a road test. So one thing I want to point out, I did a short of me having 2 tons or ton and a half, 2 tons of stone dumped in the bed of my truck. And everybody was saying there were airbags and there were jack stands. All right, they're jack stands right now because I'm working on it, but there are no airbags at all. What I did is I have a very large truck camper. So what I did was I put brand new heavy duty leaf springs in, the strongest ones you can get for an F350, and a helping spring. Then I also put these blocks there, and that stops the rocking with the truck camper on, because the truck camper is really tall and a lot of top weight. And then I also have a heavy duty sway bar down there. I have a sway bar in the front and the rear, and I did all 4 leaf springs, the heaviest possible I could get. There's a tag on them. I'd have to look it up though, but the whole suspension's brand new. So I did all new bed rails. I did needle scaled the whole frame. Then I actually sealed the frame with some polymer that's supposed to stop the rust. And then I undercoated it, but the undercoat paint is all garbage. So, but anyways, so yes, there are no airbags. There were no jack stands, but I did do all brand new leaf springs, all brand new with helper springs and the sway blocks up there. And I also have a heavy duty sway bar. So this truck is designed now for heavy duty weight. That's why it barely squats. That dump bed's 1,000 pounds empty, 800 to 1,000 pounds. So if you do the math, it's just sitting here, it's 800 to 1,000 pounds heavier than stock. So no, it is not stock. Basically, in a nutshell, it is not stock, but there are no airbags. So let me finish putting this back together. Okay, brakes are done. Okay, the pedal's nice and solid. Doesn't feel like there's any air in there. So the next thing is, let me throw the garbage away, and once again, the favorite part, throwing the tools in the garage, picking up. Okay guys, thanks for watching this episode of Fix or Repair Daily, Ford. The next thing I got to do is, next big job I'm going to end up having to do now on this is the emergency brake. I have a new emergency brake cable for inside the cab. You got to take a lot of the inside apart and take the computer out from underneath the dash to get the cable in there. But I'm not going to do that until I can get the backer plates, the dust plates for the rear, because I can't even put the shoes on, because that's what the backer plate actually holds the shoes on, which I wasn't aware of. So I should be able to put my camper in now, get ready to go for a little while camping. We'll see. Got to take the dump bed out. That's easy, lift it out with the excavator. So we'll see what happens. I want to enjoy some of the summer and go do some hikes. So that's why I'm trying to get the truck ready. So we will see. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.